Hey everyone, welcome back to the shop. Let's get back to work on the Fokker D.VII. Okay, you can all see, a little bit of colors right down here. That's kind of what we're going to be spraying on the plane. Looking at this picture on the screen right now, what I'm doing is I'm going to do the color pattern pretty much on Lothar von Richthofen. That's Manfred's little brother, older brother. Anyway, he was the one that survived. So what on the bottom, they had a whole lot of, on the bottom of the wing, the lower wing, the top of the lower wing, and the bottom of the upper wing, they had lozenge pattern. And I just didn't feel like spending the $600 and something it was going to cost me to get that material. So I'm opting for going with this blue. It's a dark blue. They call it bright blue, but it's not very bright at all. Because what I'm going to do is go ahead, put the blue on, and then just dry brush some gray. I've got some gray around here somewhere. Just got to figure out where I put it. I'll do a dry brush on the bottom. The very first D7s, you can see the pictures of them when they came out before, when they were still testing. They didn't use the lozenge pattern. They just went ahead, just painted it, and then dry brushed over the top, just like they did with the DR1s. So I'm going to go ahead and just take a little artistic license and do the same thing, just because the amount of money I saved is huge. So we'll worry about that when we get to it. So what I've got to do is, before we get started, and I've been in contact with another YouTuber, Balsa _Enterprises. I've been in contact with him quite a bit because 3 months ago he did his maiden flight on his Fokker. And so I asked him the one question that I've asked a couple other friends of mine, and we've all came to the same kind of conclusion on the little metal side panels up there on the nose, on how to put it on. I was thinking either weldwood or epoxy. Called a buddy of mine, Larry, and he said he used weldwood. And then when I finally got hold of Balsa Dust Enterprises, he used shoe goo. So we're all going to do the same thing. It's gonna be attached, but unlike epoxy, if you had to take it off for any reason, just a little bit of heat will soften that, and we could probably remove it. So I'm going to pretty much just do the same route that those guys took, just to get it done. So as you can see, the shop is not set up for spraying paint yet. What I do have is, behind all the paint, I've got a whole bunch of visqueen plastic. I'm going to go ahead, and the garage door is going to stay the way the garage door is, but I'm going to go right up to the ceiling, around the whole door frame, pretty much out back about where the camera is sitting right now. So when I'm spraying, you won't be in there really watching me spray, unless I'm just going to spray a little bit. But right about here is where there's going to be a gap, so that not really a gap, an overlap, so I could just walk through. So I've got that visqueen plastic ready to go. And then decades ago, I used to paint, as in houses, barns, buildings, interior, exterior. So what I'm going to do is, once all that stuff's taken care of, I'm going to take one of my old, more beat up drop cloths and lay that down on the floor. So when it comes time to cleaning up the shop after I'm done spraying, it'll be a lot less than it would be if I didn't go ahead and try to protect the shop. So let me go ahead, start working on getting that thing glued down, and then once that's done, I'll give you a quick little walk around, and let's start spraying paint. All right, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how I did this, because I already did the other side. Because the last thing I wanted to do is bring you guys in live and screw it up royally. So the other side came out fantastic, and it's a lot easier than I thought it was going to be to do, because I've never done something like this before. So let me go ahead and take this piece off really quickly, and I'll give you a little better idea of what I did. So one more screw. All right, what I did is I came in, put this piece down, put the screws through it so it held everything into place. Then I just pulled the masking tape, and I'm using the yellow frog tape. Pulled it right up against the edge. So now what I'm going to do is come in here and use the Wedgwood. Going to go ahead, I'm going to cover the whole side. I just thought I was going to do a couple spots or just around the edge, and I decided just do the whole thing. And it came out a lot nicer than I thought it was going to. There were no problems at all. As soon as I get this piece coated and then coat the back side of this, I'll bring you around the other side, zoom you in just to show you exactly my process of how I got this thing laid down properly, because you got one chance to get it done right. I hope the light's good enough for you guys, because it looks kind of dark through the screen on my side. All right, here we go. This side here is pretty much just tacky, almost dry to the touch. This side was just put on, so it's still going to be a little tackier than you'd care to use. But you got to go carefully with it. So I'll take one of the screws, start it through. So let's get this thing properly anchored down in the beginning. And it's not all the way down, it's still kind of sitting proud underneath. It's not touching yet. I want to keep this whole thing as long as possible so it's not touching anywhere. So I'm going to come in and get this other screw started, and pretty much when this screw is going to go down and touch, it's going to want to be stuck. So this one here I'm going to put through very slowly and make sure it's going down inside the hole, and it is. So then by all rights this hole should be perfect, and it is. So between these 2 points I've got everything lined up. So then I'm going to go ahead and get this one set into place. Now what I'm going to do is, before I screw these things down all the way, I'm going to come in the middle and start touching it in the middle, because these points are still being held up. They haven't touched yet. So we'll get this thing set up so we've got good contact all through here. Then I'll go ahead, pull these screws out one at a time, press it down so that we know it's sticking firmly. And once we know that that's down, that's pretty much staying now. So this, we're going to go ahead and put the screw in. So it's good to use the screws as reference points. Less chance of any problems on down the road. Okay, this side is done here. I'm going to get the other screw pulled out, set down. And then we can go ahead and pull this tape off. And there we go, easy peasy. So I'm going to do the same exact thing with the forward side, except I'm not putting tape down anywhere. I'm just going to go ahead and make a fine bead all the way down. So that little teeny gap between the two pieces, there should be no effect at all when it comes time to paint it, because somewhere in here is going to be the line on this cowling between red up front and then yellow going down the back. And I think this is going to be the dividing line right here. moving closer. All right, as you can see, we're finally spraying. You actually caught me spraying paint. All right, there's one little issue that I'm having, and it was a big screw up on my part. Let me go get the piece. What I did do, yeah, this is my little spray booth. What I did do is I made a drastic mistake when I shot the first paint, and this was on the rudder. What I had done was I forgot to put talcum powder into the dope to seal the weave. You know, when you do something for 20 plus years, eventually you're going to make a mistake. That's a big mistake, so always pay attention to that. So what I ended up having to do was come in and shoot some primer over it with the hopes that the primer, because white, I wanted to go white primer, it is going to do the job that I needed to do. Now, it's not, which is a problem, because I went with the same manufacturer of the paint, and here in the Midwest, I don't know if it's all around the US, Ace Premium Paint is Krylon paint. A different design, a different chemistry to it. And I've used this stuff for years, and I even used it on the last plane, the Stomp, and this stuff works flawlessly, and it's working flawlessly on the part of the plane where I did do the job, the prep work properly. So there's only one other little spot that I have to go ahead and test this out to see if it's going to work. And I had sprayed, and this is going to be the big screw up if it doesn't work. I sprayed the sides of the fuselage with white primer because I decided I wanted to try to block out light coming through. Anything I can do to make it more opaque so that you're not going to have light flashing through on the yellow, I did the same thing. Now, what I ended up doing with that was because it was just one coat and I was able to, I didn't spray paint over it, I was able to go ahead and sand it down to where I wanted it to be. And I found out that if I go over with nitrate dope quickly and just put it on there, it didn't lift the primer, it locked the primer in. So we'll see if later on today when I'm spraying the sides of that fuselage if it's going to work, because if it doesn't work, it's just going to be a great big mess. You know, do I want to go ahead and recover the sides? So for those of you watching this video, yeah, don't stop watching this video. I haven't forgot about you guys. All right, for hopefully those of you that have seen my couple shorts videos, because I got another one coming up, and you're probably, by the time you watch this one, you've seen this one as well. Let me show you where I'm at on the plane. I've got, and I'll point it out to you. Let me just clarify one thing. Correct one thing. When I first decided what color I wanted to paint the under color of the wings, I was going to go with more of a closer to a, they call it a bright blue, but it's just like one shade lighter than a navy blue. And then I was just going to go ahead and dry brush over the top of that just for some texture. Just to kind of make it look like they used to do the DR1s. Oh, the grief I caught for that color. You know, it's not an exact replica of Lothar's plane, and I've thought that I kind of made that somewhat clear, because I plan on flying this plane. I just want it to look close to it. I like the colors, I like the yellows, I like the reds. If you look at the majority of my planes, they do have yellows and reds in them, just because I do enjoy those colors. It's more visible when it's flying. You know, even at a distance, you can still pretty much tell which way it's going. All right, so anyway, so I went from this, and then just before I started spraying, because I haven't started spraying yet, I decided to go with more of a sky blue. And this is Krylon Fusion. They call it Satin Bluebird. So it's not going to be shiny, which is good, because everything else was gloss. And when I show you the pictures of how the airplane is right now, you're going to see, because of the LED light, yeah, LED lights, if you ever want to judge how well you can spray paint anything, use LED, because it'll even make the pros think twice about how good of a job they did. You take this thing outside and it looks great. Inside, because of all the LEDs in here, it's interesting. So anyway, let me go ahead and show you where we are at. We are darn close. What I'm doing right now is I am spraying that blue down here. So this is my first one. So I just figured start with the ailerons, because my hardest part is going to be this little teeny wave on the back, just to see how well the tape is going to hold. And you can see I don't really use green, but I normally like using yellow frog tape, but this, I'm going to need that extra the stickiness of this, because I know the paint's going to be good on it, because this yellow was painted probably 2 weeks ago. So so we're good with this. We know that the paint's dry enough, we can go ahead and spray it and take it off. So I'm hoping that this trailing edge comes out good, because when it comes time to do the wings, this is my practice. That's kind of how I'm doing things. So, all right, so we've got everything set up in front. We've got the red, we've got the yellow, and the tail is white, and I still have to do the crosses. Let's see if that'll bounce without falling off. And so that's what we're looking like, and of course I'll put the crosses on it, and the black cross on either side, and everything else should pretty much look pretty okie dokie. Yeah, so anyway, let me go ahead. Let me spray this one, and then as soon as I get about 2 coats on it, maybe 3, and pull the tape off, I will give you guys a little look-see. And cross your fingers. Cross your fingers. That's the way it started on the top. That's the way it looks on the bottom. I don't know how well this is going to come out with the light. It's a darker sky blue. But that was about the best I can come up with what we've got. So anyway, it's better than having something navy blue. So, and the thing I like the best about this one is blocking background light from coming through, because it is yellow. Now on the wings, the top and bottom, this was the reason why I wanted to go, you know, a solid color, just so that way we're going to take care of any light bleed through. On the sides of the fuselage, I sprayed white primer, with the hopes that the white primer would go ahead and block it, and it doesn't block it the way I want it to. So it's if you see pictures in the future with the fuselage, you can see the structure on the inside. That's the way it is, because at this point in time, there's no fixing that. But the wings, I got to make sure we're going to color match the yellows, because somewhere in the production line of the paint, I got they moved on to a darker yellow. At least the batch that I got, probably a different plant came through. So I had to do an extra coat on the wings, just to make sure that everything was the same color. The newer had a little bit more orange tint to it than the original. So, but regardless, all that stuff is looking good. Let me finish painting the blue, and then we'll be painting the crosses, and we're calling painting done. All right, seeing that I am back out here in the shop, trying to finish up something that I started with spraying the blue, the sky blue, on the bottom of the wing and the tails, and everything came out great until this happened. Now what happened was, I got everything else done. This is the very last thing I was spraying. It was the lower wing. I rushed it because we were supposed to, it was really good weather out, and this was you know, Monday afternoon, because I decided to take Monday off. The sun came out, and I wanted to go back out and go for a short little hike. Brought the camera with, just to go out and shoot some pictures. And of course, the pictures are in my otherworldly account called The World According to Bud, my Facebook account. That's all photographs. The World According to Bud. Go check it out. So what I did was, I did what you should never do. And, you know, I'm old now. I'm not 60, but I'm getting close to it. I've done this kind of spray paint for decades. I know how to do it right, and I know how to do it wrong. This part here, I did it wrong. What I ended up doing was on the other parts, I came in 2 light coats, just so that way when you're going around the edge, you're going to minimize anything that can happen where you've got your masking tape down. Less chance of bleed, and that's the proper way to do it. I foolishly tried to rush this job, and I got a little bit too much paint on than I should have, knowing that there was a very good chance that I was going to have catastrophic failure, and I was right. So let me go ahead, get you guys off the stand, show you what I did, and show you the simple little tools I'm using to fix it. This is what I did. How well you can see this. As we go down, it gets uglier. Yes, this is what actually bled in underneath the tape. It's not very thick. You can hardly feel that at all with your fingers, so you know it's not heavy. So I just got to go ahead, come on down. I don't know if you can see this. I worked on this a little bit down here. I got to finish up down the end, and this is it. I've got a couple little spots over here on this edge, and this is just going to be me scraping, because I'm not going to have to think about respraying, just because there is a round over edge here, so I'm happy with that. So it's just the front of this and this one side. All the rest is good. So what I do with this is the proper tools to use: masking tape and just a regular flat razor blade. Because what you're going to do is you're going to scrape, and you're going to scrape very gently just to get this off, but leave the yellow on, because down in here I scraped. That's pretty much what it looks like when you're done. It's not a razor, it's not a razor thin line. It's still going to have a little bit of fuzz on the end of it. So what I'm going to do once this is done, because that's the biggest spot right there I got to grind out, scrape out. When I come back, I'm going to do this. There's less than a 64th of an inch. I mean, that's real thin. And this is going to be the new blue line. So everything, I don't know how well you can see it, it's just little teeny pieces down here. There's nothing I can really do anything with. So I'm just going to go ahead, because this is a satin, there's no shine. I'm just going to come in once I finish masking off everything else, and just run a quick line back and forth on that, call it done. And then I'll do the same thing when this gets done scraping. It will be set up just for that. So it's just a matter of me coming in, scraping, and then of course just covering everything else so I don't make another mess. So this is going pretty quick. That's probably about 10 minutes of my time. By the time I'm done with this, it'll be about another 10 minutes of my time, and then it's ready to spray. So I will come back and show you what it looks like when I get done cleaning up my mess. Alright, as you all can see, my little error has been fixed. Got nice straight lines and no bleed through. Alright, I decided I'm ending this video here right now for all those of you that have watched it to this point, because it's been like 5 weeks without a video, and I just wanted to try to keep you guys somewhat up to date and somewhat interested, because this has been a lot of work in any little bit of free time I've had available. So the only last thing we got to do is paint the crosses. So all the crosses will be done in the very next video. So once again, I'll see you guys next time. I'm back in the shop.